All right, everybody. Happy Monday, January 24th, 2022. Excuse me. Hope you all had a great weekend. Enjoyed some great weekend of football as well. We have some special guest speakers for today. We have with DCI, Christopher Police and David Gannon, a couple of our account managers from territories that may be in your neck of the woods, who are going to share some best practices for improving inventory control. We're going to be hosting these calls for you guys every Monday at noon, so please be sure you hop on each and every week. With that said, I'll go ahead and pass it over for Chris, and you can go ahead and get it started.
Adam, thank you so much for allowing David and I to be a part of your weekly calls. You've done an amazing job hosting these, and we are both happy that we can help participate and facilitate some of these for you. Today, obviously, we want to talk about improving our inventory control, which is something that all of us on the DCI side and our retail partners, we have ways that we run our processes, but we really wanted to talk about like a refined process, things that we should be focusing on while we're in the stores. David and I will take our time and go through these slides that we prepared. If you guys have any questions along the way, please feel free to throw a hand sign up, or we'll get to you as soon as we can. So jumping into the deck, just kind of talk about some of the things that we're going to be going through today as it relates to improving our inventory control. One of the first and foremost things is how we're ordering our phones. What does that weekly management of those phones look like? How are we allocating our assets? And when it comes to Elevate in regards to managing through Elevate, what does that management look like from a day-to-day, or how do we do some of those things inside of the system? So jumping right in, improving our inventory control with phone ordering. Are we maintaining proper inventory levels for our required devices? I think some of the things that you guys will probably see, and I know we had just been updated here recently with what the inventory expectations are from Boost. And they are basically requiring that 80% of all of the required handsets that we have on the sheet available have to be made available to you and available inside of your stores. So what does that mean for you and your stores? It just means that we have to basically have 80% of the available inventory in our stores. Now, as you guys all know, from time to time, we do run into some issues with devices coming in from the carrier into our warehouses, and exceptions are made there. It's just kind of one of those things that we wanted to bring back to the forefront to make sure that all of our doors are prepared. So, making sure that we have the 80% is a good starting point. Working with our doors to ensure that we're well stocked on promo devices, and then kind of what's our ordering schedule? I know for me and some of the meetings that I have, I just had one last week. I challenged one of my owners to say, hey, let's try to get onto a consistent schedule for ordering, because as you guys know, the way that we handle our inventory, as most of you know, our shipments come in on Wednesday. That's when we get a bulk of our orders in. But for you guys may have amazing Fridays, you may have amazing Saturdays. You may have a super busy Sunday and you need to get that equipment right away before that. So the recommendation there is to make sure that you have a set ordering schedule for all of your devices and just try to maintain that consistency. I think for most of the doors as well, when it comes to our on-hand and existing inventory, is just to make sure that we are putting a priority or an emphasis on our aged inventory first. Those are the devices that maybe not a selling, maybe they're not the hot promo devices, but they're also the devices that if they sit too long and you have a problem, you may run into an instance where possibly that device is not going to be eligible for return. So it's always very important to make sure that you guys are cycling through that. And I know David's going to talk about that briefly in some of the upcoming slides. And then when it comes to newer devices, be proactive when it comes to stocking these devices. I know that a lot of these promos coming out, we want to shorten windows. We don't want to go crazy with what kind of stock that we're ordering, but we also want to make sure that we're prepared. Again, just referencing back to my meeting from last week, they brought up 2 brand new devices there in front of it. So I'm pretty sure I'll have to check today, but they got those devices ordered and they're in stock. So just being in front of kind of what the promos are. We have plenty of time typically from the carrier to know what's coming when. So we have plenty of time to prepare for what we need to have in stock to make sure that we can service our customers to the best of our abilities. David?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks, Adam, for allowing us to be on your call today. So we'll just go over here a few things. This particular slide addresses weekly management of your inventory, tracking your new upgrade, your ACP and BYOD devices. It's important to always have a lot of ACP on hand, as we'll talk about in an upcoming slide, to help improve that 3MR. Checking your allocation list daily or weekly for updates. Depending on whether you've got multiple stores or if you've just got standalone stores, it's important to stay on top of your inventory list, and so you know what you've got on hand to be able to sell our customers.
And David, hey,
yeah.
If I could just add there too, like one of the most important things about checking your allocation list and what we use it for too is like in cases like you guys get devices that are allocated to you, well, I may have other partners or somebody else on the team may have other partners that may be blowing those phones out. It's always important that you guys grab those allocations because we never know what that inventory is going to look like from week to week. So especially if we're on a constrained device, it's always very important to make sure that you're grabbing those and that you're in front of it. So, you know, you have them in case those customers come into your stores.
Thanks, Chris, for adding that.
Yep.
Also, you know, you want to be sure you know where you're at with your DCI credit line for those that have credit lines, so you keep your compliant. And then the last one there, placing orders to ensure proper stock balancing at all times. You know, knowing the lead time on your shipping time. All the states, for example, I'm in Northeast Ohio over here in Cleveland. You know, some of you are all over the country. So, you know, knowing what your lead time is to get your inventory is extremely important.
Yeah, and David, I'll add to that as well. I know in Michigan it's normally 1 day for all of our shipping, but we do have a certain part of the state, and this is going to sound a little bit crazy, but it's actually closer to where our main office is, and it actually takes 2 days in order for that inventory to get there. So we found that one out the hard way, but that's a great point, David. Just make sure that we know what our timelines are, because a lot of times we'll place these orders, and sometimes, you know, like right now, I don't know how it is in your individual markets. It's snowing here today. Could tell me UPS or FedEx could be delayed. The roads are delayed, and if I'm waiting on equipment or I've taken deposit on equipment, again, it's just good to make sure that you know what your timelines are and how quickly you'll get those devices.
Okay.
Oh, next slide. Waiting on me, right?
There we go. Okay, on this slide, as far as our asset allocation, next slide, there we go. Maintaining and making sure your 3MR is a sales priority. This is what I talked about earlier, that you know, quite often this determines your availability as to what handsets that you can order. And one of the ways to do that, I'm going to plug ACP again. You know, to have a good inventory of the $10 tablets that are currently being promoted, as well as the $25 AO2. By increasing those sales, that's going to help you 3MR, and you're going to be able to get some of those often hard to get handsets. Next bullet point there, selling what's available today. Some of you may have heard the term SWAT, and that's exactly what it means, selling what's available today. So, you know, sometimes ARs, for example, they can't get access to some of the inventory. And so, you know, we've got to sell what we've got. And so that's important that we make sure we have that understood. Getting to know the difference between the devices. There's start training available for most handsets, or I should say all of them. And, you know, that's available through the portal. And it's a good way to make sure that you understand the differences between the handsets. And then, of course, qualifying our customers, making recommendations to the customer based on their needs, not just promo selling. You know, we want to make sure our customers are happy when they leave your stores. And then weekly and monthly hard inventory accounts by location. You know, that just keeps you on top of your game, so you know what you've got, and you know what's you need to order next week once the allocation schedule comes out.
Yep.
You, Chris.
Yep, absolutely. So, just to touch on a couple of those things, and I know just from based off conversations that I've had with certain employees in certain locations, what really happens when we're in the stores is, reps tend to get comfortable with selling a certain device, whether it's, it's the free device, it's the easiest thing to get the customer in and out of the door, but that's not always conducive for what we have in terms of inventory. So we really need to know what we have on those phones. We need to know the features and benefits. We need to know how to sell those devices so we're not just sitting on aged inventory, because being completely honest, inventory is the lifeblood of our business, and the better we are with managing it, the more profitable our businesses are going to be, and that's why it's also critically important to make sure that you guys are also doing your weekly inventory counts, hard and soft counts by location. I know some retailers have their doors doing them every day. Some places are doing them once a week. Some people aren't doing them at all. And that's really kind of a recipe for disaster when it comes to managing this, because there's so much money on the line. How easily can it be for you guys to lose a phone, to lose an RMA, something falls behind, you restock devices, and all of a sudden the phone that's no longer on promo is in the back of your cabinet, and because you guys didn't make it an emphasis or a priority to move the device, it's now basically bricked. I don't know how familiar you guys are, but obviously when you're buying equipment, you don't want to be sitting on a couple $100s on your shelf and just have it turn into a paperweight. That doesn't make anybody happy. So controlling your assets and how you're managing those are some of the things that everybody should be focused on, whether you're just an hourly sales employee or an owner. It's the lifeblood of what we do. So just jumping into the Elevate piece, and what we've done here is on this deck, it will be shared with all of your individual account managers. In the back of the Elevate portion, there will be a link to some of the training videos through Elevate. Not everybody has full functionality to get into Elevate to explain some of these things. So if you guys wanted to take some time after the call to go through some of these videos to kind of help with some clarity, by all means do so, or by all means, please reach out to your DCI reps. We can try to help you through this to the best of our ability as well. So jumping into Elevate, some of the things that we're going to talk about just in the next few slides is our inventory permissions, how to create purchase orders or receiving inventory, RMAs, store transfers, how to count stock, how to adjust inventory and inventory reports. So on the next few slides, there's going to be a lot of data. We are going to do our best to kind of cover those data from a highlighted format. And then as we kind of get through this, again, if you guys have questions, please reach out to us or anybody on the call, and we'll work through the best that we can. So jumping into inventory permissions, make sure that you and your employees can post inventory. I know everybody has certain designations inside of Elevate, inside of what you're allowed or what you're not allowed to do. So in some organizations, the principal, they only want to be the ones that touch inventory. So just running through like on how you would set some key permissions. You have to basically assign each user. You're going to want to go to the Manager tab, Administrator Tools, and then User Administration. You're going to highlight the individual user. You're going to click their role assignment as a manager. And if the role is not assigned, you can double click it to make sure that it is assigned. And then what you just want to do is just check the boxes for what you want to have them have eligibility to do. So to post purchase orders, to post express receiving or post documents, you can save them. To change the unit prices or to check, to modify the prices on devices, which you only really want to do that or have somebody do modifying prices that is going to be accountable if there's any errors. You typically don't want to have employees have those abilities, because at the end of the day, an employee is not going to be somebody who wants to absorb a mistake, nor would you want to have to go after one of your employees for setting up something incorrectly when it comes to the back office. You can also use your tax exemptions. You can also click your system count checks, and then you can set up your sales modules, your cash registers, your open and close reports, and you can show your system account. So these are all just basically just click the boxes, click the names, click the authorizations. David?
Okay, so this is talk about our creating purchase orders. some of this is a bit overwhelming, and like Chris mentioned, that's why that tab is at the end of the deck for you to take a more, detailed training. It might be a little easier to go through it at your pace. But as far as creating the purchase order inventory, you'll receive your new inventory. Boost Elevate will let you receive it without initial purchase order. You can receive it with it and without it. So the first tab here, it's to click the inventory box icon. When you receive your item button, you select the vendor, and then you'll go ahead and enter your inventory and your vendors. You'll click Receive Express once you get your inventory logged in. In the lookup field, you'll enter the scan in UPC keyboard there, or search the product using the product manager lookup icon. A lot of this, we're just going to read off these bullet points, and I'm sure there'll be some questions afterwards. Once the item is populated, you'll enter it in the inventory, the quantity of the inventory. If the item is serialized, an additional pop-up will appear asking for the serial numbers. You'll simply enter the serial numbers and click OK. You may search for multiple items with the same lookup fields. Once all the items are listed, you click Post. Okay, now this is where they talk about entering your inventory when you have a purchase order. So you'll click the inventory box icon again, click Enter the order. You'll again select your vendor. You'll select the lookup field, and again, once the item is populated, you'll enter it, the quantity. You may search for multiple items with the same lookup fields. Okay, sorry that we're just reading off these bullet points, but it really is going through it one at a time. Once you receive new items through the purchase order, you'll click the inventory box icon. You'll click your Receive Items button. Once again, you'll select your vendor, select your initial purchase order, and click OK. You'll confirm that you've received the quantity and the serial numbers, and you'll click Post.
Yeah, and David, I mean, anybody who's currently using Elevate right now should be familiar with this because most of our orders do come in this way. So I think anybody that has some familiarity should be used to doing it this way, which is good. Next ones are mine, right, David?
Yes, sir.
Oh, all right. In terms of RMAs, there is an RMA tab that's used to record shippings to and from vendor. Again, it's simple. It's all plug and play. To ship an item back to the vendor, you're going to click the inventory or the box item, which is listed right there in the center of the screen. You're going to switch to the RMA tab, which you can see the return to vendor on the left side of the screen as well. Click Ships To button. And then it said you may enter the RMA request in advance and select it here when it's approved, or use the Ship Express button to ship items without the RMA request. One of the things for anybody that's on this call that you guys will also be hearing from your account managers this week will be in regards to the RMAs and the RMA process. I'm not quite familiar how the rest of the account manager team is managing their RMAs through Elevate. This process is available, and we wanted to talk about it, but also please note that you guys will be hearing from us this week just as kind of a refresher or a crash course on returning items to us, because there's been a lot of inconsistencies. And when we have those type of inconsistencies, it often ends up in a delay or non-payment of those devices. So we really want to make sure that you guys are all really in tune with RMAs. Again, going back to my previous statement, RMAs are an equipment. These things are the lifeblood of our business. It's great to earn commissions, but at the end of the day, we have to be whole in our inventory because that's what's driving it. So just moving back into the presentation, actually in the lookup field, you can enter or scan in the UPC keyword or the serial number on the device. Cool little thing that I learned today from our boss, Robert, and I did not know about it, but if you hit *#06#, it'll actually give you the serial number right there on the phone. Nice, quick little hack. Thank you, Robert. I don't know if he's on the call, but thank you. That's a nice little tool that's already been shared with my group chats. Once your item is actually populated, You're going to enter in the inventory quantity. You're going to select the vendor. If the item is serialized, there will be a pop-up that's going to appear asking you for the numbers. You're just going to enter the number, enter your RMA tracking number, click OK, and that's it. You're going to move on to the next page. In regards to your store transfers, again, we're going to go back up to the top. You're going to see on the right-hand side the arrow, which is going to store out, ship items. Basically, you're going to click on the inventory icon or box icon. You're going to switch to the transfer tab. You're going to click the ship button. You're going to select your store name. If there is a request from another store, you may select it here, or ship express button just to kind of flip out between the two doors. Actually, in your lookup field, you're going to just search for the item. You're going to enter it in the inventory quantity and the serial numbers if you have to. You can search for multiple items at the same time with the lookup fields, which will make it a little bit easier if you have to transfer, 1, 2, or 10 boxes, right? It's easier to do multiples at once. When all of your items are listed, you'll have two options to save the shipping document. To actually save it, you can either ship and receive, and all items will automatically be received to the other store directly through Elevate. And then once you hit post, an employee from the other store will still have to receive the items in manually under the store transfer tab. So you can see that tab again up there on the left. They're just going to click that tab and then go through the store transfer manually. This one, you, David?
Okay. Regarding counting your stock, on the left-hand tab there and the visual you'll see there, the purpose of the inventory reconciliation is to have the physical count match the system count. There are two parts of the inventory reconciliation: count stock and reconcile. So on the count stock, you'll click the inventory box icon, switch to the inventory adjustment tab, click the click stock, choose what department categorizes and bins what you count. When the count stock, your inventory will be locked and cannot receive, transfer, or sell any items. Okay. When you have count stock document open, scan all products from your physical stock in the lookup section down there at the bottom. Okay. Enter real quantity and serial numbers if needed. If you need to interrupt a count, you can save it as a draft. Go back to it once all items are listed. You click post. Okay, to reconcile your inventory, you'll click the reconcile button there, the second one over on the visual, and select the last reconciliation document and hit OK. There are three tabs on the inventory reconciliation document screen: overstock, deficit, and matched. Okay, on the center screen. Click on the match tab to view inventory items you counted that match the system quantity. Move through the overstock and deficit tabs to find items that were counted and did not match the system count in Elevate. The overstock and deficit screens both have the options to create system adjustments. Check the items to be adjusted, click Create Inventory Adjustment, add your overstock items, or create inventory adjustment and subtract for deficit. You can post, add, or subtract documents at any time. When these steps are completed, all items will be matched column. You click post.
Just moving through additionally as well in counting of the stock. The thing to remember is that you guys can always remove or add items. If you already know the necessary quantities and the serials numbers, it's just not for performing reconciliations. In terms of adjusting your inventory, you're just going to click the inventory box icon. You're going to switch to inventory adjustment tab. You're going to click inventory adjustment add. And then in the lookup field, just search for the item, enter in the quantity and the serial numbers that you need, and then you're going to click post to save. If you're going to do an inventory adjustment subtraction, you're going to click the inventory box icon. You're going to switch to the adjustment tab. You're going to click the adjustment subtract, and then in the lookup field, search for the item again, the quantity and the serial numbers, and you're going to click post to save. So, just something to remember is like all these are just really just clicking through clicking the windows that fit your needs for what you're trying to do, and then just click and save, and you'll be good. It's that simple. I think a lot of times people get caught up with Elevate, and it's too hard to do this. It's too hard to do this. I don't understand. What I found is once partners have kind of fallen into the habit of doing these a few different times, it just becomes second nature. And like, man, this is a piece of cake, right? Last page for, all right, well, I think it's the last page for me. When it comes to your bin rule manager, right? You know, it's going to let you manage different inventory within the same location, right? So a lot of you guys have multiple stores. In those multiple stores, you're going to have all kinds of inventory that's listed in your location. So inside of your bin manager, if you need to create a new bin, basically you're just going to go to manage your bins and grade codes. Retail is actually your default bin for all locations, the retail one. You're just going to click new bin, enter the name, and then you're going to click save, and that'll create a new bin for you. When you're creating your bins, you can actually set rules almost like you would in your email, right? So those of you who are familiar with Outlook, you can create rules. So like if your amazing boss, Robert, sends you a lot of emails that you want to make a priority, you can have those go right into a separate Robert email, so you know that you're never going to miss anything from your boss, right? It's kind of the same thing, right? You create a bin for those transactions, and all you have to do again is just go to your bid manager. You're going to select the document or the transaction type that you want to have a bin set for. You're going to set the bin, and then you're going to set it as a yes or a default. And then again, just hit save, and then you can do another one. Oops, sorry. To move inventory from one bin to another, basically you're just going to click the inventory bin again. You're going to select the stock that you want, which is in the bottom part of the window there. You'll use the drop-down memories to choose your location and the bin. So for example, if you remember on the last slide, we showed you how to set up a location or transfer from a location. If you have, like, let's say, for example, AO2s in a bin at multiple stores, you can just transfer from the AO2 in store number A and send it to AO2 in store number B, or just follow that right process, right? Again, you're going to use your drop downs. You're going to pick the locations in the bins. You're going to enter your product IDs, your quantity, your numbers if needed, and then click post. It's that simple. David? Okay.
As far as your reporting goes, you can use a couple of internet tools to track your inventory. Okay. You can see they're listed here. Document Finder to search for any posts that are saved as a draft document. Your Stock Viewer, you can track items available by your store. Okay. Serial tracking to check serial number history in our stock, received, sold, lost, or shipped, etc. Or log into our reporting tool to look for more detailed information. Okay, you can see there that you can click the reporting button on the top panel of the Boost Elevate window, the Open Reports section, the Open Inventory folder, the most frequently used reports. Check your inventory quantity and cost. You can check your current stock, the inventory aging. You want to check your age of current stock and make sure you're moving through that. All inventory transaction reports, purchase order receiving, RMA, store transfers, inventory adjustments, etc. are all available on this page. And as we mentioned before, we've got a video library here for this additional training. This was a little, condensed version, and you can go back and check on in the video library there, as far as the other Elevate training through elevateb2bsoft.com. And thank you everybody for your time, and I guess we'll open it up for questions.
Is there any questions in the chat?
Nothing in the chat.
Perfect. Well,
Dealers integrated with DCI do not need to create a PO, as DCI's integration does that for them. We actually created draft receipt as well, so all they need to do is verify that info and hit post to receive the inventory. Potential SRP changes is another reason inventory control and first in, first out are important. For instance, we typically see an Apple price change in the September timeframe. Tip for those on the call, we're approaching the time Samsung will likely launch the S22. That may mean an upcoming SRP drop coming for the S21. just some additional info there from the chat.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
That's great information. Thank you so much.
Julia.
Awesome. Well, hey, David, I appreciate your time and effort. Adam, thank you for letting us be guests on your call. We definitely had a good time putting the material together. And if you guys have any questions as it relates to this, please reach out to your DCI account manager. Appreciate everyone's time. Thanks and have a great day.
Thank you,
Chris.
guys.